This is Soulful Living Radio, inspiring stories and expert guests to help you get out of your head and into your heart. With your host, Lisa James.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Soulful Living Radio. I'm your host, Lisa James, and I am so excited for my very special guest today, Maddox. She is the founder and creator of the Wild Woman Project, as well as the founder and director of the Wild Woman Fest, which you will learn all about in our talk together. But she is so much more than that. She is, I'm going to try not to cry during this interview, just saying, because I get very welled up with emotions. Chris is an incredible leader. She is a mentor. She is a big heart. She is just a champion for women and wild women, and I'm just so grateful and honored that she's joining us today. I love your mission statement, which I just want to read for everyone, to awaken women to the most authentic, undomesticated nature so they may feel like themselves all of the time, no apologies, which I love. I love that so much. So thank you for being here today, Chris.
I'm so psyched to be here with you.
Okay, yay. So first of all, I love everything you do, and I tell everybody about you and your work, but I'd love for you to share sort of how Wild Woman Project came to be, because I love this story. So can you share a little bit about how it came to be?
Absolutely. So many years ago, I was leading a women's circle in my local yoga studio. So I was a yoga teacher there, and I started this circle, and I really had no idea what I was doing at all. I just heard that it was quite powerful to make intentions on the new moon. And I had always been like really interested in feminism and women's empowerment. And so I started to lead this circle, and it was one of the most precious experiences of my life, because over the course of about 2 years, we built such a tremendously strong community. And one of the things that was really sort of extra inspiring is that the intentions that we were making on the new moon were coming to life.
Wow. For
all of the women.
Wow.
Their lives just kept sort of expanding, and we're like, what is going on here, you know?
Yeah.
And sometime in early 2011, I got the hit. The name, the Wild Woman Project, came just into my consciousness. And I thought, ooh, that's powerful. And it was really alive for me, because that term, wild woman, was something that was somewhat new to me at the time, because I just started reading the book, Women Who Run with the Wolves. Yeah, right? Let's just take a moment.
Everybody just take a moment and take that in. That book there's no words for it.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's deep.
No
deep
words.
Like the ocean.
Yes.
And vast. Dr. Estes. So I remember the first time standing in a bookstore, a few people had recommended that book to me, and I stood there. I remember exactly where I was. I was in New York City, in Columbus Circle. There was in Borders, back when Borders used to be a thing. And I was standing in the aisle, and I swear, Lisa, I felt like electricity streaming into my body. So that book was very powerful and alive for me at the time, because I was reading it. I thought the Wild Woman Project, had no idea what it was going to be, but I bought the URL.
Wow.
Yeah, and just so you know, I wasn't a computer person, okay? Yeah. I didn't even have like people used to joke that, you know, if I looked at a computer, it would suddenly crash. So I got it. That was, you know, interesting that I did that. And I sat with that a little while, and one night I remember I was laying in bed, and I got this really strong vision, just an image, and I saw the world from way back.
Wow.
And I saw the earth, and I saw all these little rings of light, and immediately in my brain, you know, in my mind or my intuition or whatever mystery, I associated that with our circle. And I thought, well, what would happen if we took the magic and the sweetness and the beauty of this circle, and we multiplied it. And so I saw the globe just lit with all this, like this web of light, all these circles. And it was that moment where I was pretty struck with the idea, the initial seed of the idea, which was just to do that, is how can we help multiply this experience for other people? And that was the beginning, Lisa. And I learned how to build a website. You know, I had no resources at all, I should mention. And I just started learning. I would go on YouTube, and I remember buying a course on how to build a WordPress website.
What?
And we launched on January 2012. And I had, at that point, led a small group in New York City, like in one room, how to lead a circle. And then translated that to an online experience, which has developed, you know, I look back on that little training and it was so cute. It was so cute.
I was yesterday morning, I was doing research, and of course I loved it. It wasn't research at all. It was just diving into all things Wild Woman, and it was amazing. And I found one of your first videos, and I was like, well, first of all, you haven't aged. Hate you. No, you look the same, but you know, it was just so cool to see, you know, I think it was 2000, it was just at the very beginning. So I don't know. What's it like to sort of be in that space of remembering where you started, and then basically now where you're spread? How many countries are the circles in right now?
17 countries.
Wow.
Yeah. That's, you know, when I slow down and just sit with that, it's very touching, you know. It's very deep, you know. Because, you know, anytime you start something, you don't know if it'll end up being anything.
Yeah.
In this case, everything we've been able to do with the project and how it's grown has far exceeded my expectations. So anything that happens from this point on is just like icing on the cake.
Yeah.
You know, so I would feel tremendously blessed to have all of the sort of accidental benefits of it, like the fact that we are connected.
Yeah.
Where are you sitting right now?
Where am I sitting? In Calgary, Alberta. Yeah. Yeah.
Alberta, in Canada.
Yeah, exactly.
And here I am in the Southeast United States, and we have so much in common and so much common ground, and we're able to be together like this in a heartful, sincere way. I mean, I remember for most of my life, I would say up until I started to get into my late 20s, which is when I started the project.
Wow.
Like I was 27.
That is amazing. Wow.
And I, you know, one of the things I was longing for, that's why circles are so deep for me, is this, like being able to connect and to feel in a moment like all the superficial stuff that maybe we're used to talking to people about kind of vanishes, and we're able to talk about things that are really mean something to us. And that's been such this amazing thing where I'm like, get to be connected with all these amazing women all over the world.
Exactly.
I was honored to even know them, you know? And so, you know, when I sit here in 2018, so many years later, I think about that as this one of the many accidental blessings of getting to do this beautiful work.
What's amazing about you too is, as a leader in one of your circles, is that you have this amazing ability to really hold space for all of us. And I genuinely feel when we receive all of our content, and you're literally just talking to me, right, Chris? You're just talking to me, and you know, you really have that ability to reach people in that way. So, tell me a little bit about, so you created the circles, and then how did Wild Women Fest then? This is a whole other experience, a whole other arm, an evolution. I mean, that's amazing, which of course I have to share with the audience that it's sold out in 2 hours this year? Yeah, unbelievable. So what's it like being at the base of the mountain that first day, you know, I mean, going from okay, first of all, how did it start? So let's start there. 'Cause I've actually never really heard the story of how did that really start?
Cool. Well, I was studying Sufism at this place, Universal Sufism, which is a beautiful, beautiful path. And at the place I was studying, the Abode of the Message, they had this mountain camp. It's like the top, you walk up and it takes quite a long time. Like you're hiking it, it's like 20 minutes. I guess it's not that long, you know, it's a small mountain. And it has this amazing infrastructure. Like it has a big platform and a fire pit and cabins and all sorts of fun stuff. And I had heard that there are people that did retreats up there. And I had long dreamed as a yoga teacher to have a retreat. But like that wasn't quite enough. Like I didn't want to just have a yoga retreat, even though yoga retreats are amazing, you know. I remember in that early time just thinking, I mean, it was one of those things again. It was like the name came, Wild Woman Fest. I tend to like be like that. The name,
yes,
I don't know why. That's how often how things will come is a name.
Wow.
So the Wild Woman Fest, and I was like, oh. And my whole intention was, what if we took all of the components of the magic of women's circles, but then like extended it over 4 or 5 days? And what if we got to do big rituals? And what if we got to do divination, you know, because one of the things that we do in Circle, right, which is a big thing that's important to you, is the pulling of cards, yes. Right? So I thought, well, what if we do divination? And what if I bring all of my favorite people and close people that I really respect and admire, and I invite them to lead a workshop? Wow. And, you know, I like working with themes. So I remember the first theme was around the elements. It was like called Elemental Wisdom or something like that. And each day had a focus. We focused on air and water and fire and earth. And it was one of those things where it was a way bigger financial risk for me. I should say that was sort of. I'm wondering, there's someone doing their lawn. Is that bothering you?
Don't even hear it. Are you kidding me? There's no, I'm in my own little, it's unbelievable. Anyway, no, it's fine.
Okay, cool. We're in a bubble.
Yeah, we're totally in a bubble. Everybody's in a bubble listening. It's all good. Yeah. I'm just like riveted. This is amazing. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
So, where was I?
You were you said it was way bigger financial jump than you anticipated.
Huge. Yeah. I had to make like a very big financial commitment. And at that point in my life and in the life of the project, we didn't have anything extra. It was so tight. Everything was to get by, you know? But, I really, I channeled the Fool. I really resonated.
Did you really?
I resonate, Lisa, you should know this.
Yes.
The Fool archetype.
Yes.
And the tarot.
Yes.
That's me.
Yes,
like just
it is.
Always just like
leaping.
Happily walking the cliff. You know?
That's it. Totally. Yes.
Hoping that
that the steps will appear like, you know, in a movie. Exactly. Yeah.
So it's very much one of those situations. And I remember that I took comfort in that the vision was so strong. I could feel it in my body. Like the soul of Wild Woman Fest, and I think everything has a soul to it.
Yeah.
The soul of Wild Woman Fest was really strong right from the get-go. So I remember writing the copy, you know, writing the invitations and just hoping that people would come, you know, to come to something for the first time was always a leap. And I will always remember those like 50 or so women, including the facilitators. Okay. It was a small group.
Wow.
Who showed up that year. And Lisa, our minds were completely blown. We were just like, we were walking around and you just start weeping because we just felt like whatever this is, whatever we're doing here, like it's home, you know, and it's something that has been missing. And so the homecoming, I remember especially that first year, just felt, there was something so creepy about it, because it was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that I needed this, but oh my gosh, did I need it, And those women, a lot of those women who were there that first year have come every single year and are some of the biggest cheerleaders and holders of our time there. And it's grown. So now, altogether with facilitators, we'll have something like 175 women on the mountain.
Is that right? That's incredible.
And we have way more workshops because, we need to kind of spread people out a little bit, but we gather every night for like epic rituals. You would just love it.
I am dying in 1 year. Yes. And this is my 50th year. Like I turned 50 and I was like, I'm going to go this year, but can't go this year, but I'm going to just go next. Just intentionally, that's what's happening. Going to make it because I know I will love it. And that's what I find women also say about the circles too. They're like, they show up and they say, all of them say similar things. I just need this hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is. It just fills me up in a way that nothing else in my life does. It's so powerful, And so what I love too about your story, it just to zip back to sort of the creation of all this, where you said, and I love this because I think women need permission almost in themselves to give permission for themselves to wander. And I laugh because you said, I just wandered. And I did this and I did that as I wandered around feeling my way forward, basically worrying my parents, which I kind of laughed about because I think so many women in particular, and we do this, there's different phases of our lives, but I find women who are, well, at all stages, but I find women who are in their 50s get to another wandering where we're looking for something. And it's funny how there's so many things that you feel like you need to do, but sometimes it's okay to just wander the planet for a while. Can you speak to that a bit?
Yeah, I think that wandering is in alignment with the nature of the feminine, which has more to do about, flowing and trusting the instincts and allowing things to unfold without agenda, And I think that thing of, we don't let ourselves wander because we think that life should be a certain way or we should be doing that. And it's all the should words, and wandering is such a rebellion against that,
Yeah, exactly.
And it's so juicy because when you wander and you really do it, it's like you get to play with following your intuition and your instinct in such, a whole-hearted, whole being sort of way, Yeah. So I think wandering is really good for us because we find things that we wouldn't ordinarily find. We discover something that we wouldn't ordinarily discover. And oftentimes we stumble upon exactly what we need,
Yeah, I love that.
I love wandering.
I love that wandering. I love it. You have the most amazing ability to pull quotes. I mean, you're like the quote queen. How do you do this? I'd love to see your library, number one, and I just want to download your brain of quotes. It's unreal. It's incredible. How do you find quotes that are just so perfect? Has this been something you've been into for a while? Quotes?
Yeah, I've never thought about it exactly like this, but yes, actually, I've always been a big reader, and I like a quote because it's concise. It's something I can carry with me. It's something I can sort of roll around in my head for a while and chew on for a little while. I mean, I remember very early on when, because I don't know if you know this about me, but I used to be very devoutly atheist.
No, I did not. What? Wow.
In my adolescence. Adolescence. I think it was in a lot of ways, I really am grateful for that time. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that worldview at all. But for me personally, that was a little bit of a rebellion because I grew up in the South.
Right.
So like Southern Baptist, and I saw a lot of hypocrisy and really angry about things, which I think was healthy. But anyway, really early on in my spiritual journey, when I started to open up, and that all happened really through a process with my body, like learning my body. And I started to study a technique called the lucid body that helped me connect really clearly and directly with my chakra system. That was major for me. I started to realize, okay, there's some things going on here that are beyond what I have been told. And so a lot of the metaphysical stuff started with the chakras. And I remember early on, so this would have been, I'm like 19 or something, I would write my favorite quotes. If I'd come across a quote that was inspiring to me, I'd write it down really big on a piece of paper and I'd just tape it on my wall. And I'd live with it for a while. And I think like I still do that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. And so themes comes up a lot in Wild Woman, of course. And what I love is that you have a theme for the whole year, and then you have the monthly cycle themes. So how does that? Because are you thinking? Have you already decided a theme? Obviously, you can't tell me yet, even though I'd love to know. But a theme for our next sort of year. Have you already started? How does that process work?
It's always brewing. It's once I think of a theme, pretty much our moon cycle themes come to me very quickly, one at a time. Once I release one of them, then the next one comes, you know, and I'll have an idea, but I'll be like, shh, it's not time. Please don't come yet. Like, I don't want space. Give me some space.
Don't send me any names. Okay. I can't deal with a name right now of anything.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I have enough.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know, yeah, we have a theme for the whole year, which starts in the fall after the festival, and it's something we carry through our circles. So as soon as I released the In the Flesh theme, the next theme starts to come. But it usually, honestly, it doesn't really crystallize until like right before it.
Wow.
Like, fortunately and unfortunately, you know, because I'm like, I remember the In the Flesh theme, like I had the idea for the theme, but I didn't know what to call it. And I swear I didn't get it until just a few days before it was like the deadline. Like, I had to give the circle leaders all their content, you know?
Yes.
And I was actually reading a book, and in one of the sentences, it said In the Flesh. And I was like, that's it. Oh my gosh.
Amazing. You're like, whew. Thank you. Yeah. See, that's the fool though. It just lives on the edge. Just, you know, it just knows it's going to come. Even if it's the last minute, that stone will be there to step on. So, so leading into perfect segue into the Wild Woman Leader Training, which is coming up. Do you still have room, and how can people learn more about that? And what is it?
Oh, sure. Yes. So we hold a Wild Woman Project Circle Facilitator training twice a year. We do one in the spring and we do one in the fall, and it's so juicy. It's 7 weeks, and the format is essentially like, the whole idea is to get you prepared to lead your own circle. But what I'm really proud of about our program is that it's not just about like nuts and bolts things. The tool stuff is in there. But a big piece of actually stepping into that role has to do with an inner process. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really proud of that. We really offer that. And the feedback that we get over and over again is going through this process was, you know, life-changing, or really changed my perception, or connected me more deeply to my inner guidance, or to the moon, or to the cycles of the earth. I love hearing that stuff. So that's what we're in for. It starts next Monday on May 14th. We have 9 spots as of right now. I just looked before we got on.
Okay, so good. Yay, great. Yes.
9 spots left, and there will be 80 of us total, or 80 participants total. Every Monday, you get a lesson. And these lessons range from lessons about sacred space, lessons about the idea of following your heart, or what the wild heart is. We talk about lunar astrology. We talk about dynamics and circles. We talk about a tons of stuff. So you get a lesson on Monday, a live class with me and the whole group on Wednesday, where there's open Q&A. We usually have a blast. It's a beautiful time. And then on Thursdays and Fridays, there are telecircles. So that's at this point, I think when you took it, it was a little bit smaller.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, in order to maintain intimacy, we have broken up into 3 groups. So each group will be an intimate group. So you meet with that group every single Thursday or Friday, and you get to have the circle experience and to go through that. And you know how juicy it is. It's just
if I've taken all the things, okay, like I'm one of those people that takes I want to learn everything. I'm waiting for you to open Chris Maddox Sufi school. Like as soon as you do that, I'm signing up. So this has been, honestly, this is where I could get teared up, actually. This was one of the most transformational things I've ever been involved in as a course. So I can't even call it a course. It's an experience. It's just incredible. And I actually do watch some of the old telecircles just because I just love the process. And what you provide is a structure for anyone who's listening and who's like, gee, I really feel called to do that. You will have exactly when you're done, you'll be so ready to jump in and start. You'll not only ready, you'll be so like geared up to start one. You have it set up so that you actually could start the next day. Literally, you're so prepared. And the other thing that you provide, which I love it so much. I can't wait for the full moon because then I know the content's being released, because you offer support for us all year long, and you're never alone. The community is amazing and you're amazing, and you just feel so supported through the whole thing as a leader, which isn't always available to other type of circles where the leaders are oftentimes on their own and they're not really connected together in their own way. So that's very unique to the Wild Women Project circles, which I love. So what else did I? Oh, when are you writing a book? Because have you ever thought about it? Because I don't want to keep you too much longer. I know we've talked for what, but have you thought about writing a book?
I'm writing a book.
Woo! Okay, great. I'm so excited. I was hoping you would. I mean, you could have said, well, I'm thinking about it, but I'm really excited to hear that. You're such a brilliant writer. You're a poet. Your words are so powerful and needed in this world. And I love that so much. So how do you take care of you, just really quick? Because I know you hold the space for everyone else. And what kind of things do you do that you could share? Are you willing to share for us how you take care of you?
Oh, thank you for asking. That's such an important question. Well, I thought of something. I was like, I think Lisa might like to know.
Yay!
So I make sure that my mornings, we have a lot on our plate with everything that we're doing with the project, but I really make sure my mornings are quiet. So that's like, I don't usually schedule anything where I have to talk to anyone, no meetings or anything like that. And one of the things I really like to do that's really sweet for me is every Monday, Moon Day, morning, I sit down and in this beautiful space, Lisa knows this, but other people don't. This is my she shed. It's what I'm calling the worldwide headquarters of the Wild Woman Project, which is a really big name for a really small space, but it means so much to me. It's my first space that I've ever had all to myself. So I'm looking over here at my altar, which I don't think you can see, but I sit and I use tarot cards, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
which ones do you use? Do you mind me asking?
Oh, not at all. I love this deck.
Yeah.
It is, I think it's called the Witch's Tarot.
Oh, I love that one. Yes.
Somebody Dugan, Eileen. Maybe Dugan.
Yes.
It's wonderful. It's, I've gone through different phases with different decks, and this is definitely my deck. It's been my deck. Like it resonates,
Yeah.
So I sit down and I do a 3-card spread. So it's the first card. It's one. I don't know if you can see. It's like one.
I'm so excited by this. Sorry. This is so cool that you do a spread. I love it. Oh my God. I'm yelling and people's ears are bleeding, but yes, I'm so excited about this. Okay, go ahead. 3-card spread. Okay. So
it's 3 cards.
Yes.
And it's 1, 2, and then 1 below in the middle. Okay. So the first card is, me talking to spirit, to what I like to call, my word for God, which is always a little too wordy, maybe the great creative intelligence of the universe.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
So I say, what do you want me to be aware of? That's card 1. Who do you want me to be? Card 2.
Oh, wow.
And this is all for the week ahead, and what is this about for the soul's journey, for my soul's journey?
Yes.
So that no matter what I'm doing, because the project itself has its own soul, it has its own needs, it has the way in which it needs me to show up. And then I really try to make some boundaries saying, I have a soul and I have needs and I have ways that I need myself to show up. So I spend that time that I take for myself in that divination mode, receiving those messages and that guidance. And I usually journal about that. That allows me to anchor into my soul and my path so that when I'm looking at the week ahead, the work week ahead, that I'm approaching it from a place that is like in recognition that I'm my own person and not just like a servant to the project. In so many ways, I'm totally a servant.
Right, exactly. a willing servant, we'll say most of the time. Yeah, willing servant. I love that you refer to, because I believe that too, that my business has a soul, my home has a soul, my relationships in my life, they each have their own energetic being, their its own. I love that you recognize that, because I completely feel that totally. And so do you consult the soul of the Wild Woman Project sometimes? Do you sort of sit and say, or you probably do that all the time, tap into it, what do you need me to do, what do you need me to say, kind of thing? Is that what you mean? Yeah.
And I'm probably due for a sit down, to be honest. I feel pretty clear, it feels pretty clear. I remember earlier on, I used to have to be really conscientious about communing with like the soul of it. And I would sit and I would honestly, I could envision, I could feel, I could experience the soul. And it often looked like that original image I told you about with all the circles and the light and the earth. And I remember I would have to talk, we'd have to dialogue. It would say, I need this, this, and this. I mean, a lot of the early stuff, it was like, I need you to stop hiding.
Oh, wow.
A lot of it.
Wow.
It's like, I need you to stop hiding. Because I had a lot of I was 27.
Yeah.
Who do you, all
that. Yeah. The inner critic stuff. So that you describe it as wobbly knees. I love that you describe the wobbly knees phase of things. Like, I still went ahead, but my knees were, but you still listen more. So did you just listen more deep? Like, how did you, there's so many people who have things that come to them that they really want to create, they have a vision for it, but that stops so many, so many people. So what were some of the things you did to just keep moving forward? What were some of the tools you used?
Action. A lot of action. Just you can't sit on it for too long. And one of the things that I accidentally did when I look back on things, I'm like, oh, that was really smart of me, but I wasn't intentional at all, was at a certain point, once I had the idea and the idea was strong and solid, I told people.
Wow.
I told people. Like I said, I remember sitting down and writing an email to my closest. There was my yoga students at the time, my dearest friends, my family, saying, I have this vision. I'm going to start this thing. I'd love you to be a part of it if you're called. I just love your support, etc. And I did that. And that was so courageous of me. When I look back at that, I don't do stuff like that very much anymore. It's kind of interesting. It was like a youthful thing, because now I believe there's some sort of a balance, because I think there's a stage in which where it's too early. It's too early to get all that energy. Yeah. But who knows, maybe that's BS, and maybe, I don't know. I fit somewhere in the middle. You have to feel it out for yourself. But I think I took action and I told people, and those people got excited, and that sparked a sense of responsibility for me. And just the fact that I have to keep showing up, giving the themes and showing up to do the new festival each year and showing up week after week for Wild Woman Weekly-ish. I've committed that. I said, I'm going to do that for you.
There is no hiding. No hiding. Yeah. The one thing also I love about you and your work is, and you just literally yesterday, as I was reading, go to her website, you will spend, there is so much beautiful stuff in there. There are 13 lessons Oh my, anyway, I printed them. I've been rereading them. Yeah, incredible. And one of the things, because I know that myself and many other people in my life are searching for something outside themselves to give them like spiritual guidance, teacher, this thing, I'll try that thing, I'll try this thing. But what I love about you is, and what I learned from reading more about you and the way you work, the way you move in the world, is that nature is your guide. Nature is often like inside you, but also you're not just the scenery, like you said. I looked at it scenery before, but actually now it's my teacher, and I love that. So I just wanted you to know that really hit me in a way that was like, I don't need to have anything outside of me to tell me. I can just commune with, the moon, the nature, and that be all I need as a teacher. I just love that. I needed you to know that just from me to you. So thank you for that. One last thing before we go, is if you had one last message to give the world, if you could stand on a mountain and scream one last thing that you just want everyone to know, what would that message be?
Oh, Lisa, that's such a big question. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
I'm really, let me think about this for a second.
Yeah, you bet.
The thing that comes right to my mind is something that's very alive for me, and it kind of related to what you just talked about with looking towards the natural world, and as teacher and guide. And when you really do that and really go there, and I think that's a process for a lot of people that haven't grown up in the wilderness, that haven't grown up with a connection to nature. And I was in that club. There's like a shedding of these veils, or suddenly I'm looking outside, I'm looking at all this green and the trees and the birds and the sky and the clouds, and I can actually see that everything's alive.
Wow.
Everything's alive. And everything has this imperative to grow. Like everything in the natural world has this imperative to grow. And it's resilient and amazing. And I guess in that context, the thing I'd like to most say to the world is, we are nature too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're nature too.
Yeah.
So let it happen in you. Like, we're humans, so we get to like fight our growth in this weird way. We're like more complex, in certain ways. But to just go like, wow, there's an intelligence that's moving through that flower out there, or that vine of grapes out there. There's an intelligence which is moving through me, which is growing me. Let it happen.
Wow. Yeah, see? Juicy, juicy, juicy. I love it. Thank you so much, Chris. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you seriously so much for offering your time to us today, and your words and your heart, as always. And people can reach you through wildwomanproject.com. And Wild Woman Fest is sold out, but there's a waiting list that they can sign up for. And if you're called to lead a circle, which really if you're called at all, just do it. You will not regret it for one second. There's room available. And as always, look for a circle near you. Thank you again, Chris. I love you so much, and bless in all the things you do.
Thank you so much, Lisa. This was such a joy.
Oh, yay. Okay, take care. Bye.